A couple of days ago, I finally watched the movie Coco for the first time, and here are my thoughts on the movie. Hi everyone, I hope y'all are doing fine. Before starting this review, let me share with y'all some information that I've searched up, some information that can help us understand more the background of this movie, how it was made, who was working on it. Also, don't forget to leave a like or dislike if you want, subscribe if you want more content like this, and let's start this video. Coco is a musical fantasy animated movie released in theaters on November 22nd, 2017. It was produced by Pixar for Walt Disney Pictures. Here is the official description of the movie on Disney+. In Disney Pixar's vibrant tale of family, fun, and adventure, an aspiring young musician named Miguel embarks on an extraordinary journey to the magical land of his ancestors. There, the charming trickster Hector becomes an unexpected friend who helps Miguel uncover the mysteries behind his family's stories and traditions. The movie was written and directed mostly by Lee Unkrich, who worked previously as a director on Toy Story 3 and as a co-director on Finding Nemo, Monsters Inc., and Toy Story 2. Lee has a lot of experience at Pixar, working in the senior creative team on many popular projects. So he knows what he's doing, if you're asking me. Toy Story 3 is one of my favorite movies of all time, so I was not scared of being disappointed by his work. Coco was also co-directed by Adrian Molina, who is also known for being part of the senior creative team at Pixar, but he doesn't have any previous credits as a director. The movie was also co-written by Jason Kratz and Matthew Aldrich. Jason worked before in the story department at Pixar on some of its biggest movies of all time, like the 4 Toy Story movies, Monsters Inc., and A Bug's Life. Matthew, on the contrary, didn't really have that much experience with Pixar before Coco, but overall, the project was in good hands. The movie stars Anthony Gonzalez as Miguel, Gaela Garcia Bernal as Hector, Benjamin Bratt as Ernesto de la Cruz, and many more. Now, I assume most of y'all have watched this movie before, but if you haven't, I seriously suggest you to go and watch it before watching this review, because it will contain spoilers. Now, with all that said, let's start this review. Let's start by talking about what I liked about this movie. The first thing that I want to talk about is the main character, Miguel. Before watching this movie, I thought for some reason his name was going to be Coco, but I was wrong and stupid. Miguel is a really likable protagonist. He's young and full of dreams. Dreams that are shut down by his family's values. You see, Miguel wants to be a musician, but his family hates music because of what his great-great-grandfather did. He supposedly left his family for music and never came back, which made Miguel's family ban music from their environment. So, Miguel secretly plays the guitar and he hopes that he will make a living out of it someday. I like the contrast Miguel has with his family and how he challenges his family's values to pursue his dreams. It makes the protagonist's journey more enjoyable, and it also makes his journey more difficult, which is more fun to watch. His character is also pretty likable because of his attitude and his determination. We, as the viewer, root for Miguel. We want him to follow his dreams despite his family wanting the opposite, which is fabricating shoes. Another thing that I enjoyed about this movie is the cinematography. The frame used in this movie is really good looking and it is fun to look at. The colors are all pretty satisfying, but what this movie excels in is the lighting. In my opinion, in terms of visuals, it's one of Pixar's best looking movies ever. The lighting is spectacular throughout the whole movie. I was really impressed by it, whether it's because of the warmer white balance or the colorful lights coming from time to time. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the world surrounding the story. I love how they introduced a concept that is pretty original and based on a culture that we don't see that often on screen, which is the Mexican culture. The movie takes place during a Mexican holiday that is called the Day of the Dead. To be honest, I didn't know anything about this holiday before watching this movie. And now, I still don't know a lot of shit about it, but I love to see and learn about this holiday during my watch time of Coco. It really gave me another perspective on the world after death. and it made me less sad about death, if you know what I mean. Watching this movie made me more optimistic on what's coming after death, and I love how Mexican culture glorifies it. Again, I don't know shit about Mexican culture, but I loved what I saw in Coco. The universe after death, where all dead people live a second life until no one in the living world remembers them. I love this concept of life after death. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the humor. You see, in my opinion, this movie is less focused on making jokes. It's more focused on family drama than humor. But that doesn't mean that they don't include jokes from time to time. And when they come, they are pretty funny. The nice part about it is that the jokes work and they don't feel forced into the movie just for the sole purpose of making jokes every 2 seconds.
Hola.
Another thing that I liked about this movie is Hector. He is, in my opinion, the best character of the movie, and here's why. The focus of the story is on Miguel, but indirectly, the focus is also on Hector, and we don't know this until it gets revealed that Hector is Miguel's great-great-grandfather. Throughout the whole movie, Miguel is in search of Ernesto de la Cruz, who he believes to be his great-great-grandfather, and we also learn more about his family's history throughout his journey. So, when Hector's character gets introduced, we just see him as another comedic character that is there for his own benefits.
I can help you. You can help me. We can help each other. But most importantly, you can help me.
But indirectly, we learn his story without knowing that it is his story. He has such a great development, in my opinion, by starting as just another random comedic character to a lovable character who we feel attached to, and we don't want him to die in the afterlife world. So, turns out that Miguel's journey ends up making Coco, his great-grandmother and child of Hector, remember her father, so Hector doesn't end up being forgotten in the living world. I like his character development more than Miguel's, because it is more visible and intense than Miguel's. I also like his personality more because of his comedic aspects. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the pacing. I think the movie's pacing is really good, and I did not feel bored, and I did not feel like it was going too fast at any moment. The only moments that I can consider to be long are moments where our attention is captivated towards the beauty of Coco's visuals, from the colors to the lighting to the environment. But at least our attention is captivated somewhere, and especially in today's society where every kid has an average attention span of 2 seconds.
There are children present.
Other things that I liked about this movie are the themes of it. The movie is an individual journey for Miguel into finding out more about his family's history and about himself. Throughout Miguel's journey, he learned more about his family and how they were impacted by their ancestors. I really liked it. I also like how Miguel had to decide between family values and individual values. The movie explores this theme greatly. I like how he literally goes through death and ends up learning more about his family through the dead members of it. Another thing that I liked about this movie is the diversified catalog of characters. Each character in this movie has a different personality and is different visually. The only resemblance that some of them have is their hatred for music. But apart from that, the catalog of characters is pretty diverse. I don't want a movie where every characters look the same, acts the same, and speaks the same. Diversification is fun. Finally, the last thing about this movie that I liked is the music. It's a musical movie and a good one. Music is literally a big part of the story, which makes sense if you want to make a musical movie, you know? And the musical parts are really fun to watch, and they are also really enjoyable to listen to. I like the guitar parts where Miguel plays, and I'm ashamed to admit that I know them from TikTok. I'm sorry, y'all, I know I'm a disappointment. Now, with all that said, let's talk about what I found okay during my watch time. The first thing that I found okay about this movie is the animation. Honestly, the movie looks really great, but the animation itself is not revolutionary, let's say. The visuals are more carried by the colors and the lighting than the animation, in my opinion. I'm not saying it's bad. It's really great. But there were some things that kept my attention when it comes to animation. The biggest failure of this movie, in my opinion, animation-wise, is Pepita. This flying creature honestly doesn't look incredible. The only things I like about this character's visuals are his design and the colors, but his 3D model is missing some details to make the character more realistic, let's say. Like more visible fur, for example. But apart from some animation details from time to time, the animation overall is pretty good. Finally, the only other thing that I found okay about this movie is Ernesto de la Cruz. The concept of his character is cool, and I like the reputation he has and the aura that it gives to him. He pretty much only appears physically during the second half of the movie. He then gets presented as Miguel's great-great-grandfather and ends up being a plot twist villain. The only problem that I have with this villain is that the only impact he has on the story is at the end. Because he wasn't impacting the story before he met Miguel, let's be honest. He is more of a good plot twist antagonist than the main villain slash threat of the movie. I believe the real villain of this movie is Miguel's abuelita. She's the one that stopped Miguel from getting what he wanted throughout the whole movie.
Yes! 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 Yes!
Miguel!
No! No! No!
Ernesto became a villain only the moment he was introduced physically during the events of Miguel's story. Now, with all that said, let's talk more about what I disliked during my watch time. There are only two things that annoyed me during my watch time of this movie. The first one being Miguel's abuelita and family members. They annoyed me so much, especially his abuelita. She is so easily offended and I hate her. Every time she was on screen, I just wanted to punch her in the face. I do not condone violence on this channel. It was just a joke. The other thing that annoyed me was Dante the dog. His tongue was so out of place. I just wanted to cut it off, to be honest. To be fair, he became pretty useful during the events of the movie, so he's not just a random character that is out of place, you know? His tongue is pretty much what annoyed me the most, to be honest.
Why are we still here?
Now that I have told you what I think of this movie, here's my overall review of this movie. Coco is an amazing movie with an incredible environment and an entertaining story. Coco is a fun movie that explores an uncommon culture when it comes to mainstream movies. This movie doesn't have many defaults, but it's still not perfect, so I'll give it a 9 out of 10. Thank you for watching this video. Leave a like or dislike if you want, subscribe if you want more content like this, and I'll see you in the next one. See y'all.